So you finally did it. You hit $100,000. Maybe it took you 3 years, maybe 5. Maybe you scraped and clawed for a decade to get there. And you're sitting there looking at that number on your screen and you feel kind of disappointed. Like you thought this was supposed to feel bigger. You thought 100K was the milestone, the thing that meant you made it. And instead, you're doing the math in your head going, okay, but a house costs $400,000. Retirement needs like $1.5 million. $1 million feels just as far away now as it did when I had nothing. Here's the thing, that feeling is lying to you. And today, I'm going to prove it with math so clear, so undeniable, that by the end of this video, you're going to look at your 100K or even your 40K or your 12K completely differently. My name is Dexon, and I spend way too much time thinking about the psychology of wealth building and why smart, hard-working people stay stuck at the same financial level for years without understanding why. If you're someone who feels like you're doing everything right, saving, investing, cutting back, but the finish line keeps moving further away, make sure you hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. All right, let's get into it. I want to start with what I call the 100K illusion. And it's not what you think. The illusion isn't that $100,000 is a lot of money. Actually, most people already know 100K doesn't go as far as it used to. The illusion is the opposite. It's that 100K feels like you're still at the beginning, like you've barely moved the needle, like $1 million is still this distant, almost mythical number that belongs to a different kind of person. And that illusion, that feeling, is one of the most financially dangerous things that can happen to you because it makes people do one of two things. They either give up and start lifestyle creeping their savings away because what's the point? I'll never get there anyway. Or they get reckless, start chasing high-risk investments because they think they need to 10x their money overnight just to catch up. Both of those reactions are completely understandable, and both of them are wealth-destroying. So let me show you what's actually happening when you sit at 100K. Look, most of us were never taught how compounding actually feels over time. We were shown the concept in a textbook, nodded along, and moved on. But there's a visceral, almost shocking reality to how this works that changes everything once you see it laid out properly. Let me walk you through two people. We'll call them Marcus and Diana. Marcus and Diana both start investing at 25. They each contribute $500 a month into a broad index fund, averaging 10% annual returns, which is, for context, roughly in line with the S&P 500's historical average, going back nearly a century, according to data from NYU's Stern School of Business. Now, here's the timeline most people don't think about carefully enough. After year 1, Marcus and Diana each have roughly $6,300, basically what they put in plus a little. After year 5, $38,000. Still feels slow. Still feels like, okay, I've been doing this for 5 years and I don't even have $40,000. Year 10, $95,000. Getting closer to that 100K mark. Still sluggish feeling. Year 15, $190,000. Okay, now we're cooking. It doubled in 5 years. Year 20, $343,000. Doubled again, essentially, in 5 more years. Year 25, $590,000. Year 30, $986,000. Almost $1 million from $500 a month. Now, here's what I need you to pay very close attention to. In the first 15 years, they accumulated $190,000. In the last 15 years, same contributions, same rate of return, they accumulated nearly $800,000. The first half of their journey built about 20% of their final wealth. The second half built the other 80%. This is where it gets really interesting because that's not a coincidence and it's not luck. That's the mathematical structure of exponential growth. And what it means is that $100,000 isn't the beginning of your journey. It's the launching pad. It's the point where the curve starts bending upward in a way that becomes almost violent in its speed. Here's what most people don't realize about that $100,000 sitting in your account. At a 10% average annual return, money doubles roughly every 7.2 years. That's the rule of 72. Divide 72 by your interest rate, and you get your doubling time. It's a quick, surprisingly accurate mental math trick that financial planners use constantly. So let's say you're 30 years old with $100,000 invested. You're planning to retire at 65. That's 35 years. $100,000 doubles to $200,000 by age 37. $200,000 doubles to $400,000 by age 44. $400,000 doubles to $800,000 by age 51. $800,000 doubles to $1.6 million by age 58. And $1.6 million doubles to $3.2 million by age 65. And that's without adding a single additional dollar. Now, you might be thinking, okay, Dexon, 10% returns aren't guaranteed. You're right, they're not. So let's be conservative. Let's say 7%, which is often cited as a reasonable inflation-adjusted historical return. At 7%, money doubles every 10.3 years. $100,000 at age 30 becomes roughly $1.4 million by age 65. Still, do you see what I'm saying? The $100,000 isn't where the story ends. The 100K is the seed. And the thing about seeds is that most of the growth happens underground, invisibly, before you see anything at all. Okay, so we've done the math, but here's what frustrates me, genuinely, because I see this constantly. People know the math, they've seen the charts, they've heard about compound interest their whole lives, and they still feel like they're behind. They still make emotional decisions that sabotage the very growth they've been building. Why? There's actually a well-documented psychological phenomenon at work here called linear thinking bias. Our brains evolved to process the world in a roughly straight line. If I walk 2 miles an hour, in 5 hours, I'll walk 10 miles. That's linear. That's intuitive. That maps on to almost every physical experience we have. But compound growth isn't linear. It's exponential. And our brains are frankly terrible at processing exponential curves intuitively. We look at our 100K, we extrapolate linearly. Okay, it took me 5 years to get here, so another 5 years means another 100K. And we feel behind, even when the math says we're exactly on track or even ahead. This is the illusion I'm talking about. And it doesn't just affect your emotions, it affects your behavior. When people feel behind, they panic sell during downturns. They move money into savings accounts paying 4% because it feels safer. They take on high-risk speculative bets, crypto schemes, single stocks, options they don't understand because they're trying to compress a 30-year journey into a 3-year sprint. And almost every one of those behaviors interrupts the compounding process, which is the one thing you absolutely cannot afford to do. Think of it this way. Compounding is like a snowball rolling down a very long hill. The first few hundred feet, it barely grows. It's still small, still fragile. And if you pick it up and repack it every time you get nervous about the size, if you keep interrupting the roll, it never builds momentum. The people who end up with the massive snowball at the bottom are almost never the ones who were the most active. They're the ones who let it roll. Now here's something that doesn't get said enough. Of all the milestones on the path to $1 million, $100,000 is statistically and mathematically the hardest one to reach. And I don't mean emotionally hardest, although it is that too. I mean it takes the longest amount of time proportionally. Think about it using the doubling framework we just talked about. Getting from $0 to $100,000 requires your actual savings, your actual income, your actual discipline. Every dollar of it comes from you. But getting from $100,000 to $200,000, now you've got $100K working alongside your contributions. From $200K to $400K, you've got $200K in the market pulling weight every single day, weekends included, holidays included, when you're sick, when you're on vacation, while you're sleeping. Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's partner at Berkshire Hathaway for decades, said that the first $100,000 is a bitch to accumulate and that you should do whatever it takes to get there. He wasn't being dramatic. He understood that the first $100,000 is the stage when you are doing all the heavy lifting. Everything after that, your money starts doing more and more of the work for you. So if you have $100,000 right now, stop for a second and recognize something. You have cleared the hardest hurdle. The rest of the race has tailwinds. Now, I know what some of you are thinking right now. You're thinking, Dexon, this is all well and good, but I've got $18,000 saved, or $35,000, or nothing. This 100K talk feels pretty far from where I actually am. I hear you, and this section is for you specifically. Here's the thing. The math doesn't change based on your starting point. The timeline changes, but the structure is identical.
And more importantly, the actions you need to take right now are exactly the same regardless of whether you have $100 or $100,000. There's a framework I think about called the 4 levers of wealth accumulation. You only have 4 variables you can actually control. 1, how much you earn. This is your income, your career growth, your side income. Increasing this lever is the highest impact thing most people under 35 can do. 2, how much you save, the gap between what you earn and what you spend. Every percentage point increase in your savings rate compresses your timeline dramatically. 3, how long you stay invested. Time is the variable most people underestimate and undervalue. A 25-year-old with $5,000 has something a 45-year-old with $200,000 doesn't: time. And time is the ingredient that makes everything else work. 4, your rate of return. This matters, but it's also the lever people obsess over most, despite having the least control over it. Chasing higher returns usually means taking on more risk, and more risk means a higher probability of panicking and interrupting your compounding. Consistent, boring returns in a broad index fund beat aggressive trading for the vast majority of investors over the long run. The data on this is not even close. So if you're not at 100K yet, here's your actual job. Maximize levers 1 and 2 right now so that you can feed lever 3 as aggressively as possible. Then leave lever 4 alone and stop touching it. Let me tell you about 2 brothers. Fictional, but based on patterns I see constantly. James is 27. He's been saving aggressively since his first real job at 22. He's got $42,000 in his Roth IRA and 401k. He drives a 5-year-old Honda Civic. He's not depriving himself, but he's deliberate. His friends make fun of him a little. Why are you so obsessed with retirement? You're 27. His brother, Kevin, is 29. Kevin makes more than James, about $95,000 a year compared to James's $72,000. But Kevin bought a new truck 2 years ago, upgraded his apartment, and has a really nice life. He's got about $11,000 saved. He keeps meaning to increase his contributions, but he'll do it when things calm down a little. Now, I'm not making Kevin the villain. Kevin's life looks great from the outside. But let's look at what the math says happens over the next 30 years, assuming they both average 8% returns. James, starting with $42,000 at 27 and contributing $700 a month going forward, the same monthly amount as James, will have approximately $1.87 million by age 60. Kevin, starting with $11,000 at age 29 and contributing $700 a month going forward, the same monthly amount as James, will have approximately $1.1 million by age 60. Same contribution. Kevin makes more money, but James ends up with $770,000 more. That gap? That $770,000 difference, that is entirely the value of James's 2-year head start and his higher base. That's it. No secret strategy, no higher risk tolerance, no luck, just time and an existing base. This is the story most people don't want to hear because it sounds like the window has closed. But here's what I want you to take from this. If you're Kevin in this story, the best time to become James was 2 years ago. The second best time is today. Every month you wait is not a neutral act. It is a choice that has a real calculable dollar cost. Okay, let's talk action, because I don't want you to watch this video, feel motivated for 48 hours, and then go back to what you were doing. That's not why I make these. Here's what I want you to do, in order. Step 1, know your exact number. Go right now, not tonight, not this weekend, right after this video, and add up every dollar you have invested across every account, 401k, Roth IRA, brokerage, everything. Most people have a vague sense of this number. A vague sense is not enough. You need the precise number, because you need to know exactly where you're starting from. You can't navigate without knowing your current position. Step 2, run your own doubling projection. Take your current invested balance, plug in the rule of 72 using a realistic return rate. I use 7% for conservative projections, which means dividing 72 by 7, giving you a doubling time of about 10.3 years. How many doublings do you have between now and your target retirement age? Write that number down. Most people are genuinely shocked at what they see. Step 3. Identify the gap between your current savings rate and the one you need. There are free calculators all over the internet. Vanguard has a solid one. Fidelity has one too. Plug in your current balance, your current contributions, your timeline, and see where you land. If there's a gap, you need to know the size of it so you can start closing it with intention rather than just hoping things work out. Step 4. Automate, then forget. The single most dangerous thing for a long-term investor is having access to decisions they don't need to make. Automate your contributions to come out the day after your paycheck hits. Automate your annual contribution increases. Even 1% more per year makes an enormous difference over time. And then, genuinely, stop checking your balance so frequently, quarterly at most. Checking it monthly or weekly almost always leads to emotional reactions that cost you money. Step 5. Protect the compounding at all costs. This is the big one. The math only works if you stay in the game. That means having an emergency fund so that a car repair or medical bill doesn't force you to pull from investments. It means not panic selling when the market drops 20%. And it will drop 20% again, multiple times over your investing lifetime. The investors who build wealth aren't the ones who avoided every downturn. They're the ones who treated downturns as sales and kept buying. Look, I want to end this video with something that I think gets lost in all the numbers. The reason the 100K milestone feels like an illusion, the reason people hit it and feel somehow still behind, is because we've been conditioned to measure wealth against other people, against the highlight reel, against the person on social media with the portfolio screenshots and the real estate deals and the "I retired at 34" thumbnails. And the truth is, real wealth building is profoundly, almost boringly ordinary. It's automation, it's consistency, it's choosing not to upgrade your car when you technically could. It's checking your account less, not more. It's doing the same thing in March of a bear market that you did in November of a bull market. The math I showed you today isn't magic. It's not a secret that rich people are hiding. It's been sitting in textbooks for decades. The reason most people don't experience it isn't because they don't know about it. It's because they can't stay consistent long enough and patient enough for the back half of the curve to do its work. If you have $100,000, you are already deep into territory that the majority of Americans never reach. According to the Federal Reserve's survey of consumer finances, the median retirement balance for Americans between 35 and 45 is around $45,000. You are not behind, you are ahead. And the math says if you protect what you have and keep feeding the machine, the next several $100,000 will come faster than the first $100,000 did. And if you don't have 100K yet, if you're watching this from 5,000 or 20,000 or from absolute zero, the only thing that matters right now is that you start and that you stay. The curve is waiting for you too. It doesn't care about your past. It only cares about what you put in and how long you leave it alone. The 1 million isn't a myth. It's not reserved for the lucky or the connected or the ones who got in on the right thing at the right time. It is a mathematical destination that is reached by ordinary people every single day. The question is just whether you're going to let your emotions and your impatience talk you out of getting there. Don't let them. If this video helped you see your financial situation differently, please give it a thumbs up. It genuinely helps more people find this content. Subscribe if you want to keep building this kind of clarity around your money. I'll see you in the next one.